Good morning and welcome to Great Games Computer Learning Videos. This is the 5th video in the HTML5 Canvas video series. Today we'll be talking about Tutorial 5, Rectangle Styles. So let's get started. To begin with, I have 3 panels opened. On the right side you will see my Notepad Editor. And this is where we're going to build the HTML document, which will include CSS and JavaScript. And on the right side, you're going to see 2 panels. These are both browsers. The top one shows the page of the finished product. We'll talk about this as we build it. And down below, the page as it appears in the browser right now. There's no code, so there's really nothing on the page. To begin with, I want to lay out the framework for my HTML document. So let's get the code in there for that. Okay, and I'm going to also put my HTML tags, my open and close tags here. And inside the HTML tags, I want to put my head section and my body section. These are the 2 main sections in an HTML document. And so I'm going to tab over and type head, and come down a couple lines and put my close head. And then my body section, I'll come down a couple lines and close that body section. Okay, so I've got the basic part of the HTML page down. And there's a few other tags or elements that I want to add to this page that I'm going to need to use in order to make this page up at the top. So in the head section, I'm going to click and tab over. I want to add a title section here. So I need to put the open title and the closed title tags. And I also want to include a style section. So I will have style and my close style. And that should complete my head section. Now I'm going to drop down into my body section. And in the body section, we're going to need several different tags. So I'll go ahead and put them in there, and we'll talk about them after I get these in here. So we'll start with our H1. Make sure that you close these tags. We'll have an H3. And we're going to also put in a canvas item. Okay, a script. And our last one will be an H4 tag. Make sure that you put the close for the H4 also. Alright, so we have all these tags in there. We need these here for this HTML page that we're building. In the head section, we have a title area up here. We also have a style section, which is going to have our CSS code. And our CSS code is the code that we use in here to do the formatting, the colors, the fonts, the borders, things like this. Down below in the head section, we have an H1, an H3, and an H4. These are all part of the header levels, so they actually have 1 through 6 available. 1 giving you the largest font, 6 giving you the smallest of the fonts. So I want my title to be in the header level 1, which is going to give me this size font, Tutorial 5. And my 3 is going to be my subtitle, so that will be my Rectangle Styles. And then down below, my H4 is going to give me my copyright information or font. So let's start plugging in some of the data that we need on this page. To start with, in the title section, I'm going to put Tutorial 5. Now this title here is not the title that's on the page here. Okay? This title tag here in the head section is what puts the title on your tab up here at the top. So I have Tutorial 5. I want Tutorial 5 to be displayed on that tab. I'm going to copy that because I also want the title on my page to be Tutorial 5. And this is going to be down in the body section. Everything displayed on the page here is in the body section. So I'm going to go over to the body section, and my H1, which is the largest font here, I'm going to click in between, press Control V as in Victor, and that will paste that title there. So I'm going to have the title up here on the tab of the browser page, and also on the page itself, centered at the top. Okay, the next item I want to do is I want to do the H3. This is our subtitle, and we're going to call this Rectangle Styles. And down in our header level 4, we're going to put our copyright information. So let's go ahead and put that. Okay, now you notice when I put this one in, because it was a little bit longer than the other ones, it wrapped around for me. Notice that I only have one line number. It's all on line 12 because this is on 13 down here, but it's showing you that it's wrapped. Do not press enter to force this to go to the next line. Let it stay on the line that it's on. If it wraps, it's not going to give you any additional line numbers. It'll just push the next line down farther. Okay, so do not force any of the stuff to go on the next line. All right, let's go back up and finish up the style area. This has the CSS coding, and it's a little bit longer than the code we put for the title and the other information down in the header levels. So I'm going to open this one up. I'm going to actually click in between the open and close tag for style, press enter twice, and I will force this one down. You notice it's giving me different page numbers now on the left side. I'm going to click in the middle, tab over, and I'm going to start formatting a couple of elements in this document. The first element I want to format is the body tag. The second element I want to format is the canvas tag. Okay, so let's do the body first. I'm going to click up here in the style area, just tab over, type body, lowercase, open curly brace, press enter, tab over, and I want to first format the font color because I want the color of the font to be white on this page. So I'm going to go ahead and type color, colon, and then I'm just going to type the word white. End it with a semicolon. And I also want to format the background color because by default the page is going to be white, and I want to have this a shade of blue. So I'm going to put background dash or hyphen, and then I'm going to put color, colon, and then this shade of blue I'm going to use a hexadecimal number because I want it to be an exact shade of blue. If I just type in blue, it'll be an exact shade, but it won't be the one that I'm looking for. So I'll put the pound sign, and then I'm going to put 4D 7A FF semicolon. Okay, and that's going to give me this blue, kind of a Dodger blue, I guess you could call it. Maybe it's a little bit lighter than Dodger blue, but it's along those lines. And I'm going to go ahead and press enter. I want to change my default font. My default font is Times New Roman, and I actually want this to be Century Gothic. Century Gothic tends to be more open. It's easier to read on the computer screen monitor, and so I want to go with that font. So I'm going to go ahead and type in font dash family colon, and then inside the quotes I'm going to put the name of the font. So this one I'm going to call Century Gothic, and the computer that I'm using does have it on this computer, so shouldn't be a problem. I'm going to come down a line, and I also want everything on this page to be aligned in the center. So I'm going to put text, dash or hyphen, align, colon, and then put center. Make sure you end each CSS statement with a semicolon, all of these here, their own semicolons, and then make sure that you end the entire list of attributes that we're changing or modifying with a curly brace. Okay, that should take care of our CSS coding. Now I'm going to jump down into the body area. So in the body area, first thing I want to format down here is the canvas. So I'm going to click right between the open and close tags for the canvas. And press enter twice. And then inside the canvas area, I'm going to just tab over, and I'm going to type update browser. And basically what that's going to do is let the user know if their browser is obsolete or outdated. If it does not support Canvas, then it will display that information on their page. If they have a more recent browser, it's no problem. They're going to go ahead and run the canvas. It's going to load, and it's going to look like this when they're finished. But if their browser did not support Canvas, then it would just show the title, subtitle, and say update browser, and then the copyright information. Okay, next thing I want to do is format the canvas a little bit. So I'm going to click in that open canvas tag at the end, put a space, and I want to give this canvas item a name. So I'm going to use the ID attribute equals, and in quotes I'm going to call it my canvas, close quote. And I also want to resize this canvas because right now it's smaller than I want it to be. So for the width, I'm going to set this here at 350. Make sure that you put this in quotes. And for the height, I'm going to set this at 200. Okay, so that's going to modify my canvas a little bit. It'll be a little bit bigger and a little bit easier to work inside. The default canvas size is 300 wide by 150 high, and that's a little bit smaller than I want it to be. Okay, next thing we need to do is come down to the script area, and in the script area, you know what I think I'm going to do before we do the script? Let's go ahead and save this and just refresh our browser and take a look and see what we have. Okay, now as we look at it, we could see the title, Tutorial 5. We see the subtitle, Rectangle Styles. We don't see the canvas. We see that it's formatted for it because it's pushed down the copyright information, but we don't see the canvas here. But we do see the copyright information down below, so everything is looking good, but that canvas, and by default, the canvas takes the color of the background of the page. The only way we can change that is to override that. So I'm going to go back up into my style area, and we're going to actually format the background color of that canvas so we can see it. So if I click after this closed curly brace for body, press enter, backspace, and type canvas, I'm going to go ahead and type canvas here, open curly brace, and as I tab over, I'm going to type background color, and I'm going to specify white here because I want it to be white so I can see it. Make sure that you end with a semicolon and also a closed curly brace there. Alright, let's go ahead and save it. We'll update our browser, and we see that we have the canvas area there now. Alright, the last thing we need to do now is to get these rectangles on there, and after we get the rectangles on there, to actually apply a fill color, a border color, and maybe a little bit more with the formatting. So let's do that. Let's go back into our body. I'm going to click in between the open and close tags for script. Press enter twice. And inside script, I'm going to tab over, and I want to first start off by defining a couple of variables. The first one is going to be our canvas variable. So I'm going to say canvas equals document dot get element by ID, and we're going to pass the name of the canvas. So we call this canvas my canvas. Make sure that you use a capital C in my canvas. Put close quote, close parenthesis, and a semicolon at the end. Okay, so once again, this is wrapped around on 3 lines, mainly because I have a very large font in this editor and it's having to wrap on the page. But you notice it only uses 1 line number because it's actually 1 line. If you click on these numbers, you can see the lines. 18 is 2 lines on mine. 22 is actually 3 lines, even though it's 1 line. Do not force these on another line by pressing enter. Just let them wrap on their own if they're wrapping. Okay, next variable we're going to put in here is going to be the context variable. So we put var context equals, and then we're going to put canvas dot get context. Okay, make sure that you're using a capital C in your get context, and the string we're going to pass here is 2D. That's a lowercase d, and it should look something like that. This line has also wrapped on mine, but I'm not going to worry about it. Just don't force yours down by pressing enter. I'm going to come down a couple of lines from there, and I'm going to put a comment in here that this is going to be the beginning of the left rectangle. Okay, now like with lines in our previous lessons, we learned that we had to begin a path and then we had to end that path. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, and then we'll come back and add the coding for the rectangle and the formatting. So I'll put context dot begin path. Make sure that you use a capital P, open close parenthesis and a semicolon, and I want to end this path. So I'm going to put context dot stroke, open close parenthesis and a semicolon. Okay, so basically I'm beginning my path and I'm ending my path with this stroke statement. Now in between those 2 lines is where I want to actually create and format this rectangle that we're going to put on the screen. And if you take a look at the upper left finished project for just a minute, this is 350 wide by 200 high, and I have approximately 50 as like a border or a buffer around these here, so they're not right on the edge of the canvas. So if this is 50 and this is 50, and the whole thing is 200, that means the rectangle must be 100 high. Okay, and it's a perfect square, so it's also 100 wide. So if this point up here of the canvas were 0, 0, I want to actually move over 50 from the left edge, and I want to move down 50 from the top to give me this upper left corner. So as we put in the rectangular coordinates, we're going to be starting with the upper left corner of that rectangle here. So inside our editor, put context.rect, which means rectangle, just like this. And then inside those parentheses, we need to pass some numbers so that it knows where to draw or build this rectangle. So we want to start in our X location at 50, in our Y location at 50, and we said this is going to be 100 wide by 100 in height or high. Okay, so this is the information we need to pass, and if we save this and refresh this browser, we should see that it draws that rectangle. So it's over 50 from the left, 50 from the top, and it's drawing it 100 wide by 100 high. Okay, so that's perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. Now we're going to come down and add some formatting to this. So I'll call context again. I'm going to use a method called fill style. Make sure that you're using this with a capital S. Equals, and inside the quotes, you're going to put the color that you want to fill this with. So I want to fill mine with yellow. Make sure you end the statement with a semicolon. And we're going to put context.fill, open close parenthesis. Okay, and that's going to fill that particular rectangle. Okay, so this is going to be applying the yellow color. This will actually do the fill. So we specify the fill style or color, and we've called the method fill, which will apply this style to it. And if I go up here to save and refresh this browser, I should see it apply that yellow color. We still have the black line around the edge, and we want to change that. We want it to be red. So I'm going to go back in here. After I've added that fill, and I filled it, I want to add a stroke style, which is going to actually be the color of the border on this rectangle. So I will call context dot and then stroke style. Make sure that you're using a capital S there. Equals, and I'm going to pass red. Make sure that you end that statement with a semicolon. Okay, so that should give us a red border. Let's go ahead and save this, and we'll refresh this browser, and we now see that it is red. But you notice that it's much thinner than the red here. This particular one by default is 1 pixel. We're going to make it at least a 2 pixel border on this here. So I'm going to go back in, and after I've applied that red stroke style, I want to put a line width. So I'll put context.line width. Make sure that you're using a capital W. I'm going to set this equal to 2, which will be twice as thick as it currently is. And then let's go ahead and save, and we'll refresh. And we see that the red jumps out now. It's twice as thick as it was. And you see that the rectangle for the left side is pretty much finished. Now we just need to put the one in on the right side. So the easiest way to do this, I'm going to come down. I'm going to click on the 25, which is the beginning of my comment, and go all the way down to 32. Okay, which copies all the coding in here for my left rectangle. Now if I press Control C, it's going to copy that to the clipboard. With it still selected, if I hit Control V, it pastes right over it, so it's like no change. But if I hit Control V again, it pastes the second copy in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that second copy in there, change this one to right, because this will be the right rectangle. Okay. Now the actual rectangle is going to be drawn in a different location. We said this one was starting over at 50, and we knew that the width of this was 100, so this is 150, and there's a 50 border here, so this is actually starting over at 200. So for the rectangle location, it's going to be 200 for the X. Still going to be down 50 from the top, so there's no change in the Y. And the size is still going to be 100 by 100, so there's no change there. So if I save this and refresh, I should see 2 rectangles appearing. The problem is that we have this one filled in with lime, and we have a blue border around the outside. So I'm going to leave the formatting as is, with the exception of the fill style. I'm going to change this to lime, and I'm going to change the stroke style here to blue. Okay, I'll save it and refresh the browser, and now I see that it's exactly like the one above. Okay, well, that completes the code for this video. I know that I went through it fairly quickly. Remember that you can review this video as often as you like. If you need to pause as you go through and build your project, do so. And just make sure that you get a good example down that you can use as you build your projects in the future. All right, well, thank you for joining me on this video. You take care and have a